Hi everyone, welcome to today's webinar. I'm Louise Griffiths, and if you've been to our webinars before, you'll have seen that I usually present these webinars with Megan and Gemma. So today what we'd like to do is run a different webinar around early careers opportunities. So we're running this webinar ahead of the National Apprentice Week on week commencing the 8th of February, and whether you're here to attend for yourself or whether on behalf of someone else or to help share information, we hope you find it an informative and an enjoyable webinar. So today's webinar will be delivered by Joy Blackburn, who is our Emerging Talent Engagement Specialist, and Charlotte Bai, who's our Emerging Talent Resource Manager. And they'll be joined by a number of our past and current apprentices in the business today, who are here to give us a bit more information about their experience, and answer any questions that they've that you've submitted in the session as well. So we did things a little bit different today. We've asked people to submit questions ahead of time. So we have a set Q&A session during the webinar as well to go through answers from people's questions throughout. But please, as always, if you have any questions throughout the webinar, please make comments in the chat, and we will collate those at the end of the webinar and come back to everyone out with this. So we're hoping the session will last around an hour or so, including the Q&A. And as always, we're recording the session, so don't worry if you need to drop off, and we'll send everyone a link afterwards. So without further ado, I'd like to hand over to Joy and Charlotte to go through an initial presentation. Hi Joy, hi Charlotte.
Hi Louise.
Hi Louise, thanks ever so much. So good afternoon everyone, and welcome to the Balfour Beatty Apprenticeship webinar. I hope everyone's keeping well. I'm Charlotte Bai, so I'm the Emerging Talent Resourcing Manager, and I'm really pleased you could join us today to hear more about the apprenticeship opportunities at Balfour Beatty and our commitment to emerging talent. So we'll be briefly outlining what we do and who we are. We'll also talk through the different routes into the construction industry and what it means to be an apprentice at Balfour Beatty, as well as all of the great opportunities we have for 2021. Later on, we'll also hear from some of our current apprentices who will be answering all of the questions that you've kindly sent in, and we'll give some real insight into their experiences. Following that, we'll also hear from Jess and Cameron, and they're going to talk through their apprenticeship journey and their career path so far, again, just to sort of give some real insight into what it's really like to be an apprentice with us. So now I'm going to hand over to Joy Blackburn to talk through in more detail. Over to you, Joy.
Hi everyone, I'm Joy Blackburn. I'm the Emerging Talent Engagement Specialist, and I've been recruiting apprentices for about 5 years. So I'm going to talk you through what we do as a business and a bit more about what it is to be an apprentice with us. So you may have seen the video that Megan sent over, and Balfour Beatty, we're a leading international infrastructure group. So that means we make sure that your world works. The road you travel on, the power, the lights of your house, the water you drink, and the buildings around you. So we work across 4 main sectors. So that's transportation. So things like highways and rail are quite big in what we do. Power and energy. We work with a number of water companies, and also social infrastructure. So you never know, we may have built the school that you're in or the hospital that you may have had to visit. So just going to take you on to our commitment to emerging talent. So this includes apprentices, graduates, trainees and placements, and they all play a vital role in our business. So we invest in Balfour Beatty's future experts to ensure we've a strong pipeline of talent and skills needed for now and for the future. And as you can see, we're committed to a minimum of 5% of our employees being apprentices, graduates or placements through our membership of the 5% Club. So we've got over 200 apprentice vacancies for 2021 across the UK. And this is really important to us now more than ever to show to give young people access to valuable work experience and opportunities. So our what it means to be an apprentice at Balfour Beatty. So our Emerging Talent programme provides our apprentices with a brilliant foundation to start their career. and we want you to be experts for the future with Balfour Beatty. So we develop both your technical and role-specific skills. So this leads on to professional development and accreditation, and we will support you in every step of the way. We'll also support you with business skills. So these could be communication or presentation skills training, and also occupational skills. So these are things that you actually need to be able to properly do your job. So this could be health and safety training or driver risk awareness, that sort of thing. No matter what level of apprenticeship you're completing, however, you will have 20% of your time will be off the job training. So this is to build up your skills. We've also got to support you in other things. We've got a dedicated emerging talent team, and they'll invite you to take part in the Brave Day Challenge. So this is a great way to network with other apprentices within the business and also compete for Apprentice Team of the Year. We also encourage our apprentices to take part in the Duke of Edinburgh Award scheme, and also you've got the opportunity to join our affinity network. So these are employee-led groups that help us to build a fair and inclusive culture. So we have affinity groups for Multicultural Network, for Gender Equality, Ability Network, and LGBT+ as well. So I'll just talk through some of the roles that we currently have available that we will be recruiting for this year, and also a bit more detail on what qualifications that you will need if you're interested in them. So we'll start off with the level 2 intermediate apprenticeships. So these are in things such as highways maintenance and welding, and they're key to our business. You don't need qualifications necessarily such as GCSEs to do them. However, if you do join us to do a level 2 apprenticeship, we support you through these, and we actually encourage you to go on to do a level 3 advanced apprenticeship as well. So that takes me on to the level 3 advanced apprenticeship. So you generally need GCSEs or equivalent to be able to do them. And we offer apprenticeships for level 3 in things such as rail engineering, digital project delivery, excuse me. So this is obviously how the processes for projects are run, and it's very key in what we do. And this is through to finance and business administration. So they can be in quite hands-on subjects, but then they can also be in what we call the back office functions, so the support functions such as business and finance. We also offer level 4 apprenticeships, and these are such as construction site engineer, project management, procurement, quantity surveyor, that sort of thing. And for the level 4 higher apprenticeship, often you can join those if you've already got a level 3 apprenticeship, or if you've got 2 A levels or a BTEC or equivalent. So you can move into a level 4, and then that takes me on to the level 6 degree apprenticeship. So these are in subjects such as civil engineering, quantity surveying, environmental engineer, and the qualifications that you need to be able to do these are to be able to join the course at university. So we don't put the requirements in place, it is the universities themselves who put them in place, but we will support you through a degree. They tend to be 5-year apprenticeships with degree apprenticeships. Actually, most of our apprenticeships tend have different lengths of time for each apprenticeship. The higher and the degree apprenticeships do tend to be 5 years, and you'll be supported all the way through that. So you tend to be at university 1 day a week, and then you'd be on site or in the office 4 days a week. So you're not at university every day of the week. So as you can see, it's a vast opportunity, vast selection of apprenticeships that we've got available. So whether you prefer to crunch numbers or want a hands-on practical role, hopefully there'll be something that suits you. So if you are interested in apprenticeships with us, the roles are live on our website now, and we're adding more on every day. So please feel free to submit your application. And if you're currently studying and you're waiting for your grades, so you've got predicted grades, that's absolutely fine to apply straight away. And just get your application in. If your application is shortlisted, you'll be invited to a virtual interview where you'll hear more about the role and you'll meet the manager that you'd be working with. So it'd be great to get your application in as soon as you can. So now I'm just going to hand back to Louise for the apprenticeship Q&A, and you'll see lots more faces joining now, and they'll be answering some questions about what it is to be an apprentice.
Great, thanks very much, Joy. That was really good. That was a fantastic presentation. I think it's really important though, isn't it? Because I don't think a lot of people really realise all of the different levels of apprenticeship. So,
yeah.
So it's really informative, and especially with the likes of today and the situation that we're in with lockdown and COVID over the last year or so. Just knowing even peace of mind that interviews are still happening virtually, etc. These are all really important points. So, so it's fantastic. Thank you. So we have a question and answer session now, and we have some apprentices who are joining us. I think everyone's going to start popping up on the screen now. So what we'll do is we'll do a quick round of introductions, and then I'll hand back to Charlotte and Joy, who can then ask the questions, and then I will see you again later on in the webinar. Thanks.
So I'm going to start off with asking a question to Kieran. Oh, actually, sorry, do you want to introduce yourself? Sorry, I've jumped in there. I'll let you introduce yourself.
So why don't we go round the room? So Courage, would you like to introduce yourself first, and then we'll go round the room with Kieran, Ella, and Jess, if that's okay.
All right. Hi everyone. My name is Courage Segali, and I am a trainee quantity surveyor for Rochdale and Manchester Highways contract, working for Balfour Beatty Living Places. I've been in the business or with Balfour Beatty for 3 years and 5 months now, and I'm currently at the University of Salford studying quantity surveying and construction, doing a 3-year accelerated degree apprenticeship and working towards my RICS. Currently, I'm in year 2 and I'm graduating next year.
Okay.
Hi everyone, my name's Kieran Meek. I am a apprentice on-track machine technician, and I'm within Balfour Beatty Rail. I'm currently in my 3rd year of a 4-year level 3 engineering apprenticeship.
Sorry, I was muted there. I'm Ella. I'm an apprentice civil design engineer based at the Derby office. I'm in year 2 of my apprenticeship, and I study civil engineering at Nottingham Trent University.
Hi, my name is Jess Buxton. I'm a trainee draftsperson, also based at Derby, where Ella is. I'm in my 2nd year of my BEng currently. Got another 2 years to go, so hanging on in there. And I currently have been at Balfour Beatty 3 years.
That's great. Thanks, everyone. So if you're all ready, I'll crack on with some of the questions that have come through from some of the people who are on today. So the first one is to Kieran. How did school or college prepare you for an apprenticeship?
So when I was in school, I started studying a GCSE resistant materials, which was a entry level into the foundations of engineering. So talking about the different types of tools, equipment and materials that would be used in a day-to-day engineering activity. Once I'd left school, I studied level 2 and 3 BTEC engineering at college, and that was a further development into the experience and knowledge gained in the different engineering sectors that you can go into. Apart from obviously the theory and the practical side, whilst I was at college, they did hold careers fairs. So basically there they were showing you with the different companies, which allowed us and the other students that were on these courses the different opportunities and roles that you can take when you do take an engineering type qualification. So that was the way in which school and college prepared me for an apprenticeship.
Lovely. Thanks very much, Kieran. So, Courage, the next question comes to you from Ezra. How have you found balancing university work alongside a full-time job?
Thanks for the question. Balancing university works alongside a full-time job has really been challenging. Of course, I knew quite well that it would be challenging, but having the right people supervising my works and making sure that I achieve more academically rather than overloading myself with tasks has really been helpful. I have also adapted accurate time management, which is indeed a vital skill to have. Prioritizing what needs to be done while doing all other works afterwards has been really helpful and has made me to be more accurate as possible, preventing all sorts of mistakes to occur within my works.
Great, thank you very much. The next question comes in from Ramin, and this is for Jess. How is university structured for the degree apprenticeship as well as working full time?
For the degree apprenticeship, it has been a step up in workload because I also did college alongside full-time work 2 years ago. But we go to uni on day release, so uni for 1 day and then working full-time for the other 4 days. And if you were struggling with the workload or balancing work and uni work, I'm sure either your mentors or managers would be more than happy to help. The degree I'm on is like a 4-year degree, and we also have some smaller summer modules in order to get through all the content of a BEng. And yes, things do get busier around exams, but you can ask for study leave, and university will also try and help support you in your revision. So it's really good, really.
Excellent. So the next question's for Ella. So Ezra has asked, what projects are you currently working on and how much responsibility do you have?
So I work on a variety of projects every week. These can be small or multi-million-pound projects. At the minute, I do a lot of work for Hinkley Point C Connection, which is one of the bigger projects for Balfour's. At Hinkley, they're building a new nuclear power station and connecting it to the rest of the UK. Some of the examples of work I do for Hinkley are checks for cranes and scaffolds that are used in the installation of the pylons and stuff. I basically make sure they can support any load and ensure me and my colleagues are safe whilst we're working. More recently, I've worked on modelling the towers used for the connection. We use software to model them with different loadings and again make sure they're safe. I think this is a good amount of responsibility to have, even though all the work goes through a checking process. Health and safety is a big part of the role, and I definitely still need to make sure that I'm taking care of my work and consider everything that could be a risk on site.
That's great. It's quite interesting for the size of projects that you're working on there. It's huge. So Charlotte, a question for you. This has come from Susanna. Are you recruiting for apprentices during lockdown, and when do apprenticeships start?
Yep, so thank you for the question. So yeah, we are actively recruiting at the moment. So as you said earlier, Joy, in terms of our vacancies, they are live on our website. We've got over 200 apprenticeship vacancies across the UK at all different levels for the September and 2021 intake, which I think is, you know, really brilliant to see, and it confirms our ongoing commitment to emerging talent. So in terms of kind of start dates, typically it is September. That we get our apprentices to join, and that kind of falls in line with the academic year for enrolling onto courses. There can be the opportunity to start sooner. It just depends really on, you know, individual commitments and the business as well. But in terms of for recruiting, we absolutely are. And if, you know, anybody needs anything, then they can just reach out to us and we can provide more information on any kind of specifics of the roles.
Great, thanks for that, Charlotte. Thanks. So the next question for Courage is coming from Adam. How is Apprentices progress monitored?
The progress of Apprentices is monitored by 3 sets of people. The first one is your college or university linked tutor or assessor. Secondly, you've got your line manager. And thirdly, you've got yourself. Now, your college assessor will visit you once a month to check your progress and set deadlines on courseworks. Your line manager, on the other hand, will make sure that you are achieving these deadlines and your goals academically and on job learning. As part of your progression, you will also have a performance review with your line manager 3 times a year. The first is to set your goals for the year. Second is to review your progress mid-year, and lastly, a final review at the end of the year to go through your objectives for the year. Lastly, You, as the apprentice, are to meet up with the objectives set to you and monitor your own progress. On occasions when you can't achieve this, it is best to bring it up to both your line manager and your college assessor to help you as appropriate.
Fab, thanks for that, Courage. So coming to you, Kieran, what would a typical day look like for a Balfour Beatty apprentice?
Thank you for the question. So obviously when I arrive at work in the morning, we'll receive a team briefing. So that will include any work that will be assigned to us for that day or the week or particular session, any company updates, or more locally, any health and safety updates that might need to be adhered to on that day. That'll all be given to us during the team briefing. I'll check my emails in the morning to make sure that there's any other company updates that come through via the laptop or company phone. I'll check that. The question gets a bit difficult here because there is a variety in the work that we do. No 2 days can be the same. So an example of that would be last Wednesday, we were function testing a train, one of the tamping machines in our rail fleet, checking the whole operation of the machine. And the day before that, we would have been changing the brakes on the actual train itself. So it's an example of the fact that no 2 days are the same, and there'll always be a variety every day of the different mechanical, electrical and operations based work that we do.
Excellent. No, that's great. Yeah, it's good. I think it's good for people to hear that you're not doing the same thing day in, day out, and obviously you can develop your experience more through the variety of work that you're doing.
It's definitely not monotonous at all.
The next question comes in from Sam, and it's for Charlotte. So when writing CVs for companies when applying for apprenticeships, what are some of the most important things that they look for, and how could they stand out amongst other applicants?
Yeah, thank you for the question. I think it's a really good question. There's a couple of key things that that we sort of tend to look for, and that is, I would say, in terms of tailoring your application to the role that you're applying for. So really important just to add a couple of lines in terms of why you're interested in becoming an engineer, or why you want to work in finance. It just really highlights to us in terms of, you've taken the time to put that application together, and also to really highlight any transferable skills that you might have gained, and that can be through your studies or previous part-time work. So anything like customer service, where you've collaborated with individuals previously, it's really important to highlight that just in a few lines in terms of those transferable skills. Secondly, I would say any achievements. So, sports teams, if you've been captain, have you kind of joined any committees or led any sort of events, whether that be at school, college, and also sort of taking the initiative to gain any additional work experience that could just build your knowledge up in a certain area that you're particularly interested in. I think it's really important to highlight that on your application. And then finally, I would say around be really clear on your qualifications, whether that's ones that you've achieved already or ones that you're on track to achieve this year. The key thing there for us is that we obviously have to align your qualifications to the right apprenticeship. So it's just really important for us to be able to see, what qualifications you have got or you're on track to achieve, so that we can make sure that, we're doing the right thing and putting you on the right course. I guess to sort of wrap all of that up, in terms of employability sessions, we are doing some sessions with some of our charity partners. So we really recognise that, young people need support with mock interviews, application writing, CV writing. So, any way that we can help, we will do that. And that those sessions are running. But as I said previously, reach out to us if there is any support that you need. You can reach out to us on our email address and we'll get back to you.
That's fab. Thanks very much, Charlotte, for that. The question next is for Kieran again. How do you get supported within your workplace?
Thank you for the question. Basically, the bottom line level of support that we receive is from the colleagues themselves at the workplace. So whenever we're doing the work, if we need anything like assistance with the jobs we're doing, any technical or general information that is required, we can always ask the colleagues, and they're never going to say no. They're always happy to help, and they'll always be useful in those situations where you need the assistance. So that's your main level of support there at the workplace. A second level of support would be the management as well. They can give you anything such as employment information, any requirements for the job that you are doing, and specifically with us in the rail business as well. A lot of the management did start as apprentices 20, 30, 40 years ago, so they have gained a lot of experience in the years of the job itself. So they're also very, very useful to ask when you're looking for general specific information with the job. And then the next level of support would be the college assessor as well. He comes in on a monthly, he or she comes in on a monthly basis and will check your portfolio for your apprenticeship. And in doing that, we'll show you where you're going right, what you're doing well, and also the points that you do need to improve. So that's how we do get supported in the business.
Lovely. That's great. Thanks very much. So if I can then come on to courage, what are the challenges you found with an apprenticeship, and how did you overcome them? So that's come from Jordan for courage.
Thanks for the question. One of the challenges I found as an apprentice at the start of my career is the inability to voice my opinion, as I think they didn't matter. This thinking stuck with me for months until I had a one-to-one section with my supervisor, of which she then made the effort to walk me through this challenge and help me to see how my opinion is valuable within the business, even as an apprentice. Now, I feel confident in this aspect because I know no matter how little my idea may be, it definitely counts to the success of my project.
That's great, thank you. Yeah, I think that's an important thing to get across, that from the beginning of your apprenticeship, your voice counts, and you need to be confident in voicing that. Yeah. Thanks for that, courage. So the next question comes from Zoe, and it's for Ella. What were the advantages you found from doing an apprenticeship?
I really like that I'm completing my degree whilst getting a head start in the career that I want to do. I feel like if I went to uni and then got a job after, I feel like I'd kind of be 3 years behind where I would be when I finished my apprenticeship. I learn so much every day and work with such a diverse group of people that if I have any questions or problems at all, then there's always someone to go to. I do placements in different parts of the company throughout the scheme. I'm on about my third one now, I think. And I've been able to go and work on site for a couple of months as well, which was really good. And this just means by the time I finish my apprenticeship, I should know sort of where I want my career to head and what I want to do.
Excellent. Yeah, it's really good to hear that you are learning, and that's one of the reasons why we do encourage apprenticeships, that you're learning at the same time as working. So that's brilliant. And then the final question comes in from Ramin for Jess. In response to COVID-19, has it affected the apprenticeship scheme and your role? And if so, how did you get over any problems?
COVID-19 has affected my role to an extent, as I've had to adapt from working from home instead of usually working in the office. So I've been in the dining room since last March. But luckily the technology is really good and we've all managed to keep in touch. I've still managed to have my rotations into other sections. I've moved from structures drawing office into foundations drawing office, and now in safety by design, in order to gain experience across all the sections, and have managed to learn how to use CAD packages whilst working remotely. So yes, COVID-19 has had an impact, but Balfour have managed to maintain their development plan for the apprentices and trainees. So yeah.
Excellent. I think it's been a big shift for everybody, hasn't it? Having to working on site or working from home a lot more. It's very different for everybody when everyone's got different challenges. So thank you very much. So thank you everyone. That's the end of the apprentice Q&A for now. What we're going to do is I'm actually going to pass back to Jess and I'm not sure if this is going to work, so it's playing a bit silly. So Jess, if you can talk us through your apprenticeship journey and your journey with Balfour Beatty and the different things that you've been doing, and then once Jess has talked through hers and given an insight into what she's been doing, and we're going to be joined by Carmen Chambers, who joined as an apprentice around 8 years ago, and he's going to talk through his journey. But Jess, if I can hand over for you, I'm going to turn off my webcam so that people can see you. Thanks very much.
Okay. Hi everyone, as you already know, my name's Jess Buxton. I'm a trainee draftsperson based at Rainsway, Derby, and I'm currently working in the Safety by Design team, producing an embodied carbon calculator to bring attention to the sustainability of our construction practices, and hopefully with this transparency into the tonnage of carbon produced by design and construction, we can work to lessen the impact. Anyway, a bit of background. So once I completed my A-levels in 2014, which seems like a long time ago now, I went straight to university to complete a degree in fine arts, which I then graduated in 2017, 3 years later. But by this point, I realised I was drawn to the construction industry and wanted to work using CAD and to create technical drawings and designs, and hopefully working towards being a design engineer. So a bit of an early career change, but at least I discovered it at that time. So I looked for work experience and apprenticeships, and started at Balfour Beatty as an apprentice draftsperson in September 2017. And for the next 2 years as an apprentice, I studied at college doing a level 3 BTEC in construction in the built environment, which I then completed in July 2019. And from this, I wanted to continue my education so I could progress to working in the design sections. So I started my BEng at Derby University, so going back 2 years later. And this also incorporates a professional portfolio, so you can apply for a incorporated engineer status after completion of the degree, doing your endpoint assessment and such like. And I'm currently in my 2nd year and really enjoying it. I kind of found I was interested in construction and discovered this whilst doing my previous degree, which I'd always draw and mock up buildings and installations and layouts. And this sparked a meeting with my careers advisor at Derby University. And they suggested careers along the lines of design, CAD technicians. And after further research, I really was certain that was what I wanted to pursue. And I was looking for work experience, but seemed to fall on the available apprenticeships, and I applied, and the rest is history. And a bit about the support at Balfour. The support I've had over the last 3 years has been fantastic. I cannot fault it. My line managers have always been there to help when I've needed it, and they've allowed me to shape my own career along the way and reach my goals. My colleagues have also been really supportive and helped me where they can. I'm always sending emails asking about work queries or uni coursework, and they're always more than happy to help. A thing that's kind of surprised me during the apprenticeship at Balfour Beatty is the variation in workload, and the opportunities that we get are really, really great. When I joined, I didn't think I'd get to do things like my gold DOV or take part in competitive challenges like the Brathay Challenge, or rotate around the office to gain exposure to all the sections in the business. And I think that's been really good in order to gain experience and confidence. An important piece of advice that I've been given along the way is ask as many questions as you'd like in order to enable yourself to understand. Many colleagues that you work alongside of at Balfour Beatty have at some point been in the same situation as you, and they're always more than happy to try and help you find the answers. And I'm always asking questions about work or university coursework, but as I said previously, they're always happy to help. So feel free to ask as many questions as you like. During my journey at Balfour Beatty, something that I've been most proud of was completing my Gold DAV with Balfour Beatty. It was an amazing experience, and I've made so many friends along the way from all divisions of Balfour Beatty, some of them right up in Scotland and some of them down in the south. But we all came together as a team and managed to complete it. So that was all like absolutely fantastic. And it was extremely testing at times. We had the rain, cold, miserable weather, but we got through it. And it's one of those lifelong achievements that you really don't forget. Looking back, the piece of advice that I would give to my younger self is that I wish I had considered apprenticeships. I never really had any information at our school on how to apply or what you could gain from doing one. But coming from somebody who has done both, university full-time was great. But when I left, I had no experience and really lacked a lot of confidence and also basic soft skills in order to help me find a career. But now being halfway through my second degree onto my BEng, I feel so much more confident in what I do now and how I would apply it in a situation at work. And looking back over the last 3 years, they have really flown, and I cannot believe how much I've managed to achieve in what a relatively short period of time. And finally, a key piece of advice I'd like to give you all is be open and say yes to the opportunities that arise. My career at Balfour Beatty has certainly been very exciting and very varied, as I've been so lucky to have had so many opportunities to do extra activities and rotate around the office at Derby, which has allowed me to meet so many new faces and progress my career so much further than I could have ever imagined. So yeah, go for it, guys. I'll pass you back to Joy.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much, Jess. Thanks for the insight into your background and your career so far. It's really encouraging, and I can echo what you say about I think times have changed now, and I think schools are giving a lot more information to kids about apprenticeships and different opportunities. I know certainly when I was at school it was university, and I'm really pleased now that I'm able to say, no, you don't have to just go to university. If that's not right for you, you can do an apprenticeship. So it's fantastic. I'm really pleased to introduce our next panelist, and that is Carmen Chambers. So he's one of our HR business partners here at Balfour Beatty, and he joined us I think it was 8 years ago, is that right, Cameron? As an apprentice in Newcastle. So I'll hand over to you. I'll hide my video and mute my mic, so I'll just leave it for you to introduce yourself. Thanks, Cameron.
No, brilliant. Thanks. Really insightful, Jess, and thanks very much, Joy, for the introduction. And it is actually, just coming up about 8 years, which I find staggering to reflect on that time and realise how quickly that's really went by. But hi everyone, my name is Carmen Chambers. So I'm one of the HR business partners in our power business at Balfour Beatty. I'll talk a little bit about what that means a little bit later, but just want to say I hope that you're all safe and well. This is a really strange way to feel like I'm communicating with you about National Apprenticeship Week, but I'm really pleased to be part of the discussion. I'm really passionate about apprenticeships. I think for me it's been life-changing, and I think I'm really passionate about trying to get across the experience that I have and others have had in the business, and really encourage it as a brilliant way to move from the educational setting and into the world of work. So I thought what would be useful is just to give you a sort of 5-minute nutshell on the journey that I've had since school, and tell you a little bit about the job that I do today, and share a few reflections that might be sort of helpful advice about anybody that might be considering an apprenticeship. But just going back to school days then, I actually finished school and then I went to sixth form to do my A-levels. And at that point in time, I sort of done the first year of A-levels and AS levels. And coming into year 2, a lot of my classmates were planning to go into university. And throughout school, I was probably a little bit of a joker and a bit of an entrepreneur as well. So I would have been the lad telling jokes and probably standing with a sort of school bag full of sweets in between lessons, trying to make a few quid selling sweets to my mates on the side. So to be honest, I never really struggled necessarily with the academic setting, but I didn't find it really engaging either. And the thought of going into a really challenging 3 years at university in a purely academic setting, whilst I wasn't really learning anything almost on a job and being able to earn my own money mainly, it didn't really sort of appeal to me at the time. But the whole philosophy of being able to earn and learn at the same time, that philosophy really did sort of appeal to me. So I think I was really clear on that I wanted to go on the apprenticeship route, but at the time I wasn't really clear on exactly which sort of career path that I wanted to take and what type of industry that I wanted to work in. I signed up with a mailing list on Newcastle College, and I just applied for things that I thought would be really interesting. And to be honest, I was really driven by money back then, and I probably was looking for the things that paid the most money. So after a while studying the jobs and deciding what to apply for, I remember thinking about a career in infrastructure in the construction sector really appealing, because I think the first thing that I remember thinking at the time was, you can go to work and you can contribute to something, and then you can actually sort of visibly see the tangible output of your work. I had a real perception that it would be a really rewarding place to work because of that, a really sort of great fun environment. And like I say, I was particularly driven around salary and being completely open. I think I remember sort of Googling how much people make in the industry, and it really sort of appealing to me as well at the time. So whilst I had a general interest in it, I was also conscious though that my knowledge of the industry at that point was probably quite limited. I hadn't done any qualifications at school or at sixth form what were necessarily sort of related to construction or infrastructure, but I ended up applying anyway and got started, like I said, just sort of coming up 8 years ago in April 2013, and it was on a business apprenticeship. I worked in a sort of back office function environment, and spent about a year, just over a year, doing rotations around different aspects of the business. So spent some time with the project management and change function, done a little bit of time with HR, and also the risk audit and assurance function. And just to share a bit of advice that I got, actually, my first ever manager, after I got that sort of rotational view, shared with me, he said, never make somebody a good cup of tea, because then actually you'll never be asked to make them a cup of tea ever again. And I've been passing that advice on ever since, but I think it's the message that's behind it is actually probably mostly around, at the time I wasn't necessarily viewed as an apprentice. It was more around I felt like I had real accountability quite early in my career, and it helped just get fantastic learning experience quite quickly. So that was the sort of sentiment that he was getting across. But yeah, just remember, never make a good cup of tea for anybody. And then to fly through it, I've worked in sort of various roles from that point in time. So really just getting a sense of what I really enjoyed, spending time in different types of roles, because Balfour Beatty is such a great big organisation. You've got that opportunity to probably find things that you have a natural interest in and then really sort of apply yourself in it. So I worked in quite a few different roles throughout the time, but most recently I got the opportunity to do a business management with finance degree on the side, so work doing that alongside work, and then went on to the HR graduate scheme when I graduated with my degree in 2017, and just absolutely thrived in this sort of context of HR, and most recently then moved into the power T&D business in April 2019 after successfully completed the graduate scheme. I think that's probably a little bit just about the route to how I'm doing what I'm doing today. Just to touch on that, I'm working in the power transmission and distribution business. That's essentially, you'll find a raft of information on it online if you wanted to find out a little bit more, but we're responsible for delivering the safe supply of power to millions of homes and businesses. We cover all elements of the electricity grid, from overhead lines, substations, cable and distribution, and we do a whole load of sort of services. So we do the scope, and we do feasibility, design, construction and maintenance across that whole electricity grid. And just a bit of a sort of context about the business that I work in, and I currently work in the HR team. So everything that we do as a team is focused on just making sure that we attract, we develop, and we retain the best people in our industry. So I partner the business to understand what the strategic objectives are for them in any one given year, and sort of looking into the future, and then I'll lead various activities to make sure that we do attract, develop, and retain the best people in the power industry. And I think thinking about the proudest thing that I personally have about working at Balfour Beatty, I think the quality of our workforce is the thing that really makes me most proud to work here. It's the way that will maintain our competitive edge as a business, and the way that will continue to be the leading UK infrastructure group. So being able to be a direct part of creating those, creating and developing those fantastic teams that deliver all of these huge infrastructure projects across the UK is something that gives me sort of boundless energy. Just on a personal note, I think it's worth saying I'm getting loads of fantastic experience working with such real experts in our industry, and it's one of the best benefits that I sort of touched on a little bit earlier about working in an organisation like Balfour Beatty is just the sheer number of opportunities that are available. So I've got no doubt in the next 10, 20, 30 years of my career, I've got no doubt I'll be doing something that's probably a little bit different to what I'm doing today, given how varied the last sort of 7 to 8 years has been. That's probably a little bit enough about me. Just to leave you with a few pieces of advice, really, as the last minute or so. I think I've already told you the best one, which is all around not making a good cup of tea for anybody, and you can probably start doing that now, even before you sort of getting into the world of work. I guess the other things that I would say is the apprenticeship route is a fantastic way to really come into an organisation and approach the world of work. I think for me, doing the academic piece on the side was made incredibly easier because I was actually practically doing the things that I was writing the theory about on the side. So it goes hand in hand. You're getting the work experience and you can talk about that in your assignment. So that I would just say really consider the apprenticeship route as a method of getting into work. The thing that's given me a lot of probably success so far is just keep saying yes to things that interest you and you think they'll give you some personal development. So just saying yes to all of the opportunities that will naturally come, and also probably around authenticity. So I think being able to find what value you bring to an organisation and being your complete authentic self and being able to bring that to the table is one of the main things that you'll find people around you will really value coming into the workplace. So I think that would probably be one of the important points. And just, I guess the last one was, I was reflecting on it. If I was to go back in time to when I was sort of 17, 18, and I was considering applying for an apprenticeship, I think you'll have probably picked up in my narrative earlier on, I was really driven by salary and really quickly climbing the career ladder and earning a ton of money. And I was actually just getting a job that would make me really happy. So I've ended up just naturally finding something, probably more coincidentally, that I really like just by saying yes to different opportunities. But if I was to give myself some advice, it would probably be to stop thinking so much about at the time, start thinking so much about how can I earn a lot of money, and actually change the stimulus of it to say, what is it that makes me really happy, and what will I enjoy doing? You'll spend a significant amount of your time in the rest of your life at work. So I think it's really important that you get that right and you do something that you genuinely enjoy doing. So I think that would probably be my last snippet of advice. So I think that's everything from me. All of your journeys will be completely different, I'm sure, but hopefully that was just useful to hear a little bit about mine as you're heading into the world of work, and hopefully encourage some of you to think about apprenticeship opportunities and perhaps an infrastructure.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Cameron. That was really, really interesting. It was great to hear from yourself and Jess around your journeys. It's been a really, really good session, and I hope really informative for a lot of people. So I'd like to just invite everyone back from the panel, if everyone would like to kind of turn their cameras back on. I thought that was a really good session. It was our first Emerging Talent webinar. It was really useful for us to talk to a different group of people, and I took lots of notes myself. Cameron, earning while you learn. It's a fantastic way to go. I think Jess said it as well, and Ella as well. And the one key thing that I saw through all of that is say yes to opportunities. And I think a couple of people said that throughout some of the questions, and I know that you'd mentioned it yourself, Jess, as well. And I think just things like even the support that the business gives to people that are interested in a career in construction and civil engineering. It's looking at the employability sessions, Charlotte. I think they're fantastic, and like Charlotte says, if anyone would like to kind of reach out for a bit more information on that would be really useful. So thanks very much everyone for a fantastic session. It was really useful. And just to kind of close things off for the webinar, as always, for everyone that's watching and tuning in, we have recorded today's session, and we'll be sending this out to you for your feedback and any questions that you have. If you've been asking questions throughout the session in the chat, again, we'll come back to you on them, and just that should come out to you in the next few days or so. So thank you very much for your time, and thank you to our panel. Thanks very much for joining us. It was great. Ian, thanks so much, Joy and Charlotte, for your presentation as well. Okay.
Great. Thanks very much.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.